and sit down. Don't be shy. Do you know what? Today, I am going to teach you a secret. Oh yes, a secret about chess that will make you able to beat both your dad and your mom in chess. Ain't that something? And it's just going to be our little secret, okay? Don't tell anyone. So this is a secret that I learned from a woman called Judit Polgar. Have you heard of Judit? Right, yeah. Judit is one of the best to ever play chess. And even when she was a little girl, she was already very good. And one of the reasons that Judit was so good was because she had 3 friends that helped her remember what moves to play. And we're going to say hello to them now. Are you ready? Okay. The first one is Pandora the Puffin. This is Pandora the Puffin. Hello. And Pandora the Puffin is from Iceland. And this is a type of parrot, a sea parrot. And what is very special about puffins is that they mate for life. Checkmate for life. And mate for life, that is a way grown-ups talk. And what it means is that the puffins, they find a partner in life. And then they stay with that partner for their whole life. And what does this have to do with chess? Well, let me teach you. Okay, in chess, it is very good if you can play both the king's pawn and the queen's pawn out. This is very, very good, because if you do that, you have both one bishop and the other bishop and the queen are all able to come out. Also, look how much space you're taking. This is your opponent's side of the board. This is black side of the board. And this pawn, can you see? Doot, 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 doot. Those are all the squares that these 2 pawns are attacking. And these 2 pawns, they are partners, the partner pawns. And Pandora the Puffin, hello, she always helped Judit remember that it is good to get the partners out, because Pandora also wants to have their partner in life. So that's Pandora the Puffin. Okay, but who else? Who else do we have? Then we have, look at this. This is Octavia, the octopus. Can you see? And do you know what is special about an octopus? And do you know what octopus even really means? I can tell you what is special about an octopus. An octopus or octopi is that we have 8 arms. Can you see 8 arms? That's so many. And that's actually what octopus means, because octo means 8 and pus means arms or legs. And what, Octavia, what did you help Judit remember? Oh, I help Judit by doing a special thing with all my 8 arms. Can you see how many pieces are on the back rank here? Can you see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Yes, indeed. And I use all my 8 arms to just gently tap every single piece on the shoulder and remind them that they should go and join the game. Don't stay at home. No, join the game. And I use my 8 arms to tap everyone so they all know that they should join the game and do the best they can. And that, my friend, is Octavia the Octopus. And then the last one is Plato the Panda. Hello. Hi, Plato. What do you help Judith remember? Oh, it's very simple, because can you see my belly here? Oh, big, soft, nice belly. It is white. And can you see my feet and my arms and chest, my ears, my nose, and around my eyes? Black. Oh, does that remind you of something on the chessboard? Look here. White square right here. White like my belly. And also black squares like the rest of me. My chest, my arms, my legs, my ears, round my eyes, and my nose. And we have in chess light squares and dark squares. And if your opponent does not have many pieces on attacking, for instance, the white squares or the dark squares, you can attack on those squares, and you can use that to win. Yes, and that is really the secret that me, Plato the Panda, Octavia the Octopus, and Pandora the Puffin, and of course ASMR Chess up there, that is what we are going to teach you today. Okay? Thank you, Plato. We will talk to you a little later. Righty on. Oh, what is that? Oh, there is a fourth animal. Hello, I am Bob the Elephant. And what secret do you have, Bob the Elephant? Oh, I don't have any chess secrets for you today. I am just here to remind you that you must pluck your Patreon. Oh, that is right. Thank you for reminding me, Bob. Okay, so Patreon, that is something that the grown-ups use to help me make these videos, so you can come back again and again and watch more of these videos. It is something where the grown-ups, they go in and then they give a little bit of money every month to me, and when enough of them do that, what happens? It becomes enough money that I can continue making these videos. So thank you for reminding us of that, Bob. No problem. Okay, are you ready? What is the first thing? What is the first thing that Judith will do? She has the white pieces here. She played this game when she was just 12 years old. And she was playing against a grown woman. But Judith was not afraid. Because in chess it doesn't matter if you are just a small child as you are. It doesn't matter. You can beat the grown-ups. You just have to know the secrets. And what's the first secret? Oh, that's me. That is me. The first secret is we want the partners out. All right. Okay. So we want the partners out, this one and this one. And Judith started in this game by playing this pawn out. The king's pawn 2 squares out. And if she could move again, she could make Pandora very happy by also playing this. And the partners would be together. But of course, Black always gets to move after we move. So Black will try to stop Judith from playing this move. And how will they do that? Well, they are playing this pawn out, 2 squares. Pawn to c5 is that what the grown-ups call it. The grown-ups even call this the Sicilian defense, but you don't have to worry about that at all. In fact, you don't have to worry about anything, because you know what? If you don't get all the things that I explained to you today, do you know what you can do? You can come back to me right here as many times as you want, and I will tell you everything again and again and again until you don't need me to anymore. Okay? Okay. So now Judit does not want to play this because it's defended. You can see black would come in and capture here. Judit does not want to do that. Instead, she wants to prepare this move. She wants to prepare the partners, okay? That is what she wants to do. And here, Octavia the Octopus comes in and taps this knight on the shoulder, saying, it's time for you to join. Because Judit picks up the knight, 1, 2, and 2 the side. That's how the knight moves, right? And puts it right there on f3, the grown-ups say. But you don't have to worry about that. And this is already a little bit about Plato the Panda. Yup, because you can see that already Judit is fighting for one particular color of squares. This knight is attacking this dark square and also this dark square. Can you see? So already the little chess secret that Judit knows is beginning to show itself. And we will investigate this even further in this game. Actually, Judit, you cannot believe how she finishes this game. It's very, very nice. So now Judit is thinking, I can play this. It's not her move right now, but you can see the knight helps. Okay. But what does black do? Black, of course, sees, okay, Judit wants to establish these partners here and make Pandora happy. But not on my watch is what the black player is saying. So she goes doop, boop, boop, and plays the knight out, because this knight, very much like this knight, is also looking at this square and at this square. So if Judit now comes, you can see takes and takes and takes. Okay, so she cannot do that quite yet. But what could Judit do about that? Many, many things. And here is a very nice little idea for Judit. Octavia says, remember to get all the pieces in play. And Judit picks up the bishop and slides it all the way out here to b5, the grown-ups would say. Why does she put the bishop here? Because here the bishop can come in at a moment's notice and capture this knight. And if the knight is captured, well, it's no longer looking at this square, at this dark square here. It's very clever play by Judit, but it gets even more clever. Now it's black's time to move, and remember what we are fighting for. Black also wants to control the dark squares. They are a little bit afraid, and that helps us understand the next move that black is playing. Black is taking this pawn here, the g7 pawn, and moving it to g6. That's how the grown-ups would say. And how does that help? Yeah, how does that help? Well, this is part of a tricky plan that black has. Tricky plan, but don't worry, Judit has it all under control. But the tricky plan is this. It's not really about the pawn moving. It's about that this bishop can now come here. And can you see? Now this bishop is looking at these dark squares. So that is the plan. It's preparing this sneaky move. Okay. So what does Judit do? What will she do now? She is not going to play this pawn out. Not yet. She wants to be completely ready. Completely ready. So she's thinking, okay, my opponent is looking at this square 1 time, 2 times, and very soon 3 times. I want to look at this one, this important square, d4, the square is called, and you don't have to remember that. But if you don't know how that works, by the way, do you know the alphabet? Do you know your letters? Okay, well, okay, but this can maybe help you learn. The way it works is that every square on the chessboard, this one and that one and that one and this one, all of them have their own name. And it's in a neat system, very neat. So if we say this here, this file, we say that's A. That's the A file. The next one is the B file. Then we get the C file, D file. Do you know what comes after D in the alphabet? E. That is correct. Yes. You're so good. The E file, the F file. Then we have the G file, and lastly, the H file. So all the squares, for instance, on the H file, they are all called something with H. H, 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 H. But how do we know what's the difference between that one and that one? Here is the other part of the system. Then we have numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do you know the last two? 7, 8. That's right. 7, 8. So, for instance, this one, we would say that is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. 1, 2, 3, 4. H4. So what is this? It is D4. Exactly. So Judit wants to play the pawn to D4, but she wants to do so when she's completely 100% ready, okay? And that is why she plays the pawn to C3. Because can you see what this pawn is doing? They move. They can capture diagonally like this. So it is helping this pawn protect this pawn when it comes here. That is why she's doing this little move. And now it's not very difficult to figure out what black is going to do now, because we remember that black played this move. And do you also remember why? This one? Yes, and where did it want it to go? It wanted to go here to G7, the bishop to G7. That is right, because it was looking here, and that is what black is playing. And now Octavia comes in again. And Octavia is saying, oh, Judit, you are about to be ready to play your pawn out and make me, Pandora, very happy. Yes. But I will help you with something first. I'm going to tap your king on the shoulder, and I'm going to tap the rook on the shoulder. Why? Why do you do that? Let me tell you. This is because of this special move called castling. Okay? And they say you have to castle to avoid the hassle. And what that means is that you can tuck your king away in safety using this castle move, and I will tell you how it works in a little bit. And if the king is in safety, it is much, much easier for you to make Pandora happy and establish the partners, the pawns in the center. Because, why? Why? Because it's harder for your opponent to attack your king. So you have more time to do what you want instead of doing what your opponent wants. Okay, so here it's how it works. Okay, guys, can you hop out? Yeah. Okay. So with the castling move, and I probably you don't know the exact rules of this, and don't worry. It's completely okay. I will explain it to you. When you castle, you can take your king and then look at your rook. Take the king, look at the rook. If there are no pieces in between, the king can do something special that the king normally can't do. How many squares can the king normally move? One square, like here or here. But when you castle, the king can move 2 squares closer to the rook. And what about the rook? Well, normally in chess, you can only move 1 piece at a time. But when you castle, you can move 2. So the king goes on the other side of the rook goes on the other side of the king. And can you see this king? How snug as a bug in a rock he is. He's behind the wall of pawns here in his castle with the rook here defending here, and it's very hard to attack this king. Okay, so that is why we do that, and we also make Octavia the octopus very happy. Yay! Because we mobilize, we use 2 of our pieces in 1 move. It's very, very, very good. Now, it is again black to move. And black is seeing, okay, I know what you want to do, Judit. Little child Judit, only 12 years old. I know to you, of course, being 12 years old is really big, but you have to imagine that this was a grown woman. So she thought that she was going to win easily over little Judit with her ponytails being only 12 years old. But Judit, she was very, very good at chess. So she had a different idea about how the game should go. And she was thinking, I know what you're doing, Judit. That is what the grown woman here was thinking. She was thinking, you want to play this move. And I am looking at it here, and I am looking at it here, and I am looking at it here. But I can also look at it with this one. So she placed the king's pawn out 2 squares, or pawn to e5, as the grown-ups would say. And you could say, oh, isn't this stopping this? Now this cannot see here anymore. And that is very, very right. But if Judit does play this, and black captures here now, you can see the bishop is helping here. So it looks like that Judit cannot play this. But do you know what Judit did? Do you know what she did? Can you guess? She's a very brave little girl. And that you must also be brave when you play chess. Some people get scared. Oh, what if I lose? No, you cannot lose in chess. Don't worry. You can only win in chess, or you can learn. That's all you can do. If you lose the game, all you do is learn. So be brave like you did. What do you think she played? What do you think she played? She did play pawn to d4. She did play the pawn out anyways. Yay! Now I'm so happy. Is what the Icelandic Puffin Pandora is saying. And now Judit is really beginning the fight here. So what is black going to do about this? Black has been working all this time to stop this move, and now Judit plays it anyway. So she thinks, I have to go after her, I have to be brave also, and she picks up the pawn and plays c takes d4, like this. C, the pawn on c, takes the pawn on d4 here. That is what black is playing. But Judit was already prepared for that. Now, she has 3 pieces, 1, 2, and 3, that can come in and recapture the pawn here. Which one do you think that she used? Let's take maybe the queen. What's the problem? The problem is that when black captures the queen, we lost the queen and we only got the pawn. Which one do you think is better? I like the queen too. So that was not what Judit played. It's a little bit the same. How about the knight? Actually, if the knight comes in, they will recapture. Which one do you like more? I also like the knight more. So that is why Judit played c takes d4 again. Now it's black's to move. And black wants to again capture here. What piece should we capture with? So now black picks up the knight and goes after this square again. Can you see how important this square is? Knight takes on d4. So, what should white do? Not capture with the queen for the same reason as we saw before. But Judit has good friends with Plato the Panda. And she's beginning to think about the black squares, the dark squares. She's thinking a lot about that. And she's thinking, okay, we were here in the center, looking at the dark squares here in the center. But what about the dark squares here, closer to this king? Can we do something with that? Yes, we can. So, this is what Judit decided to do. She took the knight and captured the knight like this. Because she's going to use a very nice trick that I will teach you. Okay, so what do you think black did? Yes, of course, black recaptured the knight. And what is Judit going to do now? Well, Octavia the Octopus is a very good friend of Judit. But the person playing black, the woman playing black here, does not have a good friend with 8 arms. And there are too many pieces here that has not been tapped on the shoulder, and they have not gotten into the fight. In particular, the king here, not really, has not really gotten into a good place, has not found a nice square to be on. And do you remember we said castle to avoid the hassle? Not castled yet. What can Judit do with that? This is a tricky one. She played pawn forward to e5. And why did she do that? It looks like it's not a good move. And maybe the black player was thinking, that little silly girl, I can just come in and capture that. But she was a very good chess player, so she did what's always good to do. She sat on her hands a little bit. She didn't just, get the hand out and played the first move she thought of. Because this is a trap. Young Judit is setting a very nice trap for the black king. Because if the bishop comes in and capture, which she did not do, but if she does, Judit has this little move here. You can play the rook out to attack the bishop. And here I'm going to teach you a nice chess trick. This is what we call a pin. A pin, yes. Like you put a pin through a butterfly to pin it to something. That is what's going on here, because this rook is putting a pin through the bishop to the king. What's the problem? Can't the bishop just move back? No, that's right. No, the bishop cannot move back, because then we would lose the king as black. And you can't do that. But can't we just defend? Maybe with the pawn, the bishop. And here is the trick that I want to teach you. Okay, if you have pinned one of your opponent's pieces, what is a very good thing to do? It's a very good thing to attack it once more, because it cannot escape. It cannot escape. What piece is best to attack the pinned piece with? You could attack it with the queen, but the problem here is we could attack here, but of course they would capture our queen. You could attack it with the bishop here, but let's say we just see defense like this. The problem is that even if we capture and this happens, we only get a bishop for a bishop. That's equal, that's the same for both players. So maybe not the bishop. If you can attack a pinned piece with a pawn, that's the best, because the pawn is not worth as much as the bishop. And even if they defend now, takes and takes, can you see? You got the bishop and they only got the pawn. Okay, so that is what is called a pin. And we attack the pinned piece, and if we can, we attack it with a pawn. Pawns attack pinned pieces for profit. Okay, so all of that is why that black could not come in and capture this pawn. So, and also, hello. Also, Plato the Panda is very happy, because can you see what color these squares are that the pawn is attacking? They are black, they are dark. So Judit is really thinking about the dark squares here. What can black do now? Black would like to castle to avoid further hassle, but the problem is that the hassle has already begun. And this knight would like to come out, and it would really like to be here to look at these two squares. But what's the problem? It can get captured here. So the knight has to move to this square in front of the king, what the grown-ups call E7. Okay? So why is the knight going here? It's to help the king castle, so the king can get out of the way and the rook can join the game a little bit. And the knight has to get out of the way because the king cannot castle. No. The king cannot castle if there are pieces in the way. Okay. So we saw before how Judit could make a pin with the rook. But actually rook is not the only piece that can make a pin. And I will teach you, and Judit will teach you here by showing you another way to make a pin. Okay? So this knight here is a little bit in the wrong place. It would have so much liked to be here, but of course Judit is looking at the dark squares, and now she thinks, okay, I want to make a pin, I want to use the dark squares. This is a little bit tricky. Can you figure out what she can do? There's a different piece that's on a dark square right now that can make a pin on the knight. Okay, yeah, so she takes up the bishop and slides it out here to g5, as the grown-ups would say. And can you see? This is very much like with the rook. The bishop looks at the knight, but if the knight moves, what could white do? That is right, white could come in and capture the queen. Right. So we would say here, the bishop pins the knight to the queen. Black says, I will castle to avoid the hassle, and plays Duk castles. Okay? Or castles, as some would say. But can they really avoid the hassle? Not really, because it's a little bit too late, and Plato the Panda, hello, has been very good at reminding Judit about the dark squares. We can attack the dark squares first in the center, and now we shifted it over here to the king here. We want to attack the dark squares. We have the bishop out, looking here and here, and we have the pawn here. So the dark squares are really under attack now. And also, what can Judit do now? Judit can actually capture this pawn. Can you see what piece she can use? That is right, she can use the queen. Queen takes pawn. And now, finally, she got her pawn back. Now, there are 5 pawns for white. There are 6 pawns for white, and there are 6 pawns for black. So now they have all the same pieces again. But where are those pieces placed? Are they having a good time on the playground? Are they trying like the really fun swing and the really fun slide? Or are they just sitting in the corner like all Judit's pieces? Can you see this one, this one, this one, this one? They are all out having a really fun time on the playground. But what about all black's pieces? Oh, they are just pushed up all here, back to the side, to the end of the board, and they are not really on the playground having a good, fun time. And that is because Octavia the Octopus has been tapping them on the shoulder, all of them, and say, remember to join the fun on the playground. Here, there's a little tricky move. It's going to take a little bit of time to explain, but don't worry, just relax and listen to me. I will explain it until you really understand it, okay? Because, can you remember that this knight was pinned by what piece? By the bishop, that's right, by the bishop. The bishop was pinning the knight to the queen. So we said that the knight couldn't really move. But what is this? Black placed the knight over here. Knight to c6, as the grown-ups would say. Why can't Judit now come in and capture the queen? And actually Judit can come in and capture the queen. She could play, and she didn't do this, and I will explain why. She could capture here. But what is the problem? The problem is, we must always remember in chess that your opponent gets to move after we move. And can you see what this knight is looking at? Hello, queen. The knight is looking at the queen. Oh my gosh. And the knight could come in here and capture the queen. And then a queen for a queen. But is that a problem? Isn't that just the same for both sides? Well, the reason that we could say that this is a problem is that Judit wants to attack. She's looking at the dark squares, and she has all the space on the playground. And the queen is the best at attacking. And she's the best at taking up a lot of space on the playground. And if you don't have the queens, you can't take up as much space, and it's easier for black to defend. So, Judit did not want to capture this queen and lose her own queen. She didn't want the queens to be exchanged. That's how the grown-ups talk about chess. They would say she didn't want to have the queens exchanged. So she couldn't just defend the queen like this, because still it would come in and be captured. So she has to move the queen somewhere. But what is the problem, let's say, if she moves it here? Can you see what the problem is? The problem is, and here's a little trick for you that you can use to beat your mommy and your daddy and all of your friends. There is a thing that most people who play chess, there is a thing that they do. And it is they look at the hand. Can you see my hands here? And that's actually not so smart to look at the hand. Because when I use my hand here and you follow my hand and I pick this knight up and I put it here, and you're looking at the hand and you're looking at the last thing the hand touched. So you may think that this move, that the only thing it does is what it can do when it came here. But when the knight has moved, what about the queen? Actually, the queen now can go places that she couldn't go before. Because when the knight was here, she couldn't go this way, and now she can. So with that in mind, can you figure out why Judit cannot move, for instance, like here, queen to c3? That is right. Yes, exactly. The queen could come in and capture the bishop, and Judit would lose the bishop. The dark squared bishop. No! Don't worry. Don't worry, Plato the Panda. Judit is not going to let that happen. I know. So, when Judit is thinking about that she does not want to exchange the queens, so she wants to move the queens, she's thinking, I should put it somewhere where it defends my dark squared bishop. So she picks up the queen and she puts it here on h4 on a dark square. And now look, the bishop and the queen are looking at all these squares and they're working together. And if black is not careful, she will just come in and capture this. Oh. So black has to do something. The queen has to escape. And black takes the queen and puts it here on b6. But this is away from the king. It's away from the dark squares of the king. Why do you think she put it here? Why not here or here? What does the queen do here that Judit will maybe have to think about? It is right, it is attacking this pawn all the way down here. And that's how we can see how this rook is actually doing something. It looks like it's just on the back rank here, trapped behind the pawn. But actually it's defending the pawn. It's helping out the king. The queen is also helping, but maybe she will not stay here. So actually this rook is already doing something. And that is why Octavia said, use all your pieces. Get all your pieces to good squares. That is why Octavia, the octopus, is saying that. But is there something else the queen is doing? It's about this bishop. Yes, she's attacking this bishop. And again, Octavia the octopus is coming and saying, can you figure out what I told Judit to do in this position? Can you figure out what I used one of my 8 arms to do? What piece did I tuck on the shoulder, tap on the shoulder? What piece did I say you should join the game? You should come on the playground. Let's see if we can figure it out. So can we find a way to make Octavia the octopus happy and get a new piece into play, and also maybe help this bishop a little bit? We can see the rook here can't really move, and this rook is already doing a little bit of something, and even if we moved it somewhere else, we couldn't find a way to put it so it would help this bishop. That is exactly right. The knight, exactly right. The knight can go 1, 2, and to the side. That is how the knight moves. And it gets into the king, it gets into the game. Octavia is happy, and I got your back, is what it's saying. These are good friends, and now the queen cannot come in and capture, because the knight could recapture the queen. And here, black is in a bit of trouble already. Judit is doing very well, and it's maybe to be expected if you know how good Judit actually is. But black made a huge mistake here, because black didn't have the great friends that Judit had. So Judit had Plato the Panda. Hello, I am here to remind you of, like my belly and my face, there are light squares, and like my feet and arms, and chest and ears, nose, and around my eyes, dark squares, black squares. And if you are weak on one color, then it's a big problem. That is what Plato the Panda is saying. And even though she was a grown woman, she didn't really know that with the black pieces here. And what she did was, and she thought she had a really clever plan, she took the bishop and captured the pawn here. And now she won a pawn, and she thought, I am going to win the game. I'm going to take all of Judith's pieces, and it will be so easy to checkmate her when she has only the king left and I have all the pieces. I will take all your pieces, little Judith, with your little ponytail, there. But do you think Judith was afraid? No. She knew all of this, and she knew a little chess secret, that it's not about the pieces that leave the board. It's about the pieces that remain on the board. And this bishop here on the dark squares is needed to protect the dark squares around the king. You can have all the pieces in the world, but if you are checkmated, then you lose the game. And you learn from the game. Because you can't really lose in chess, remember? You can only learn. And that is something I'm sure that the player with the black pieces learned from this game. She learned that she should probably get her own little Plato the Panda to help her think about the light squares and the dark squares. What is her plan? What is black's plan that she thinks is so clever? This knight is defending this bishop, right? So if black could move again, black could come in and capture the knight. And you may say, well, we have the pawn here defending it, and you would be right. Pawn takes bishop. But when the knight leaves the board, what is it no longer doing? It is no longer defending the bishop, and the queen could come in and capture the bishop. So what did Judith do about that, do you think? This is a little bit of a trick question, okay? Because you could say maybe Judith played something like this to defend this in another way or something. But no, because Judith had all her friends. She had Octavia and Plato. also Pandora the Puffin. She had all the friends. And in this case, we look to you, O wise Octavia the Octopus. We look to you for advice on what we should do and what we should tell Judit in this position here. So we will go out humbly and leave it to the wise Octopus. And the Octopus could say, you know, I have tapped all the pieces on the shoulder. The queen, and the bishop and the knight, and the king and the rook. They have all moved, they have all done something, they are all in the game. There's only one arm left. I've used 7 arms, but there's one left. This one that comes in and taps the last piece, the rook. Because it doesn't matter how many pieces you have if they're not on the playground. And look at this. What is it doing? It's just sitting in a very long line waiting for the swing or something, right? It's not doing anything. It's not having fun. What about this? It's not having any fun. It's not doing anything. All of Judit's pieces are doing something. The king is being safe. That's his job. The queen and the bishop are taking the dark squares. These guys are out on the playground, on the field, having a grand old time. This rook is not in the game yet. And Judit took the rook and slided it all the way here, where the king starts. That square is called A, B, C, D, E, 1. E1. So she played rook to E1. And that is so cool. That is one of the reasons that I really look up to Judit, because she's just so brave. And she's saying, oh, you have a plan that you want to capture my knight and then capture my bishop? I'm not going to defend that. I'm going to force you to do it. Now you have to do it, because otherwise I'm going to capture your bishop. So he's saying, okay, you have a plan? Well, I already figured out what to do against that, and that is I'm going to force you to do it. And Black was not seeing the danger, so she took the bishop and she did capture the knight. And Judit just said, yeah, it's so fine. It's no problem. I will capture that right back. Because this one, when this leaves the board, what remains are particularly the bishop and the queen and the empty dark squares around the king. Also, this rook has a little bit of a role to play very soon. And Black did not see that. So Black did capture the bishop. And now it looks like, oh my gosh, I lost many pieces now. My opponent has a bishop more than I do. My opponent has a knight more than I do. That is true. But you could also say that Judit has more pieces than Black, because these two are not really in the game. And what Judit did was, she looked at the dark squares and she did another little trick that you can also use in the games. You can do that little thing where you just say, if I could put my pieces on any squares that I wanted, where would I put them? And the reason that's a good idea is because you can find a good plane. And if Judit could just pick up some pieces and put them where she wanted, she would take the bishop and put it here, and she would take the queen and she would put it here on the dark squares, making Plato the Panda very, very happy. And can you see, this is check to the king. The queen can come in and capture the king. Can you see that? And can the king go here? No, because queen can take. And here, here, and here, you can't go there because you can't go on your own pieces. No, that would be silly. How about, can the king capture the queen? No, because then the king would be captured by the bishop, so that would be checkmate. Okay, that's a great idea. But this is not where the pieces are right now. They are here and here. But now, by thinking about this, thinking like, what part of the playground would my piece really like to be? Well, do they really think the swing would be fun, or the seesaw would be fun, or the slide would be fun, or climbing in the tree over there? What would be the most fun for that piece? And she figured out that this is where these pieces would have the most fun. And that is why she played the queen forwards here on the dark squares, okay? So queen to h6, as the grown-ups would say. And if Judit had one more move, she would play this bishop here, and there's no way to stop the queen coming here. Can you see that? There's no way. This knight cannot. It would have to move many, many times to defend this. It would have to go maybe here, so it would have to go here, and here would take 2 moves to defend this. It would have to move over a place where Judit could even capture it. Okay, so if Judit, after going here, if Judit gets one more move, she will do this, and it will be over. But Black thought that she knew what to do. She did. It's true. She thought that she had figured it all out, and she was just playing queen here. Right? Because after this move, as the grown-ups would take queen to f5, what can Black do if Judit plays her plan? That is right. She capture the bishop. So bishop here is not going to work. But it is not about the pieces that leave the board. It's about the pieces that remain. And Plato the Panda has something to say. Well, in this position, the dark squares are very, very weak. And we can actually win the game right away if we just think about only the black squares, like my feet, like my arms, my chest, my nose, my ears up here, and around my eyes. So, Judit is going to win the game now. And I will be very impressed if you have any idea what to do. We're going to use the rook, the bishop, and the queen. And we're going to do a thing that helps us very much in chess. We're going to play checks. We're going to say check to the king in every move. Why? Because when we say check, then the opponent cannot really choose what they want to do themselves. For instance, if the queen comes in and captures here, that is check. It's not what Judit did, but if she does, what can Black do? Can they move the queen? No, we will capture the king. Can they move the rook? No. The only thing in this position here, because there's not even something you could put in between or other ways to capture the queen, the only move that you are really allowed to play as Black here is to capture the queen. So we know in this position that if we give, for instance, this check, we know exactly what Black is going to play, and that makes it easier for us to think what we will then next do. Okay, so let's take a look at different checks we can make. There are 3 checks we can make. For instance, we can capture here, and that forces the king to take. Do we have any more checks? It's on a light square now, so this cannot come in and give any checks. It can never give a check on a light square because it's on the dark squares. And the rook also has no way to come in with a check. Okay, so we pause that for a moment and we think, do we have any other checks? And we could have this check, queen here. queen to g7, as the grown-ups would say. And again, there's only one move for black. It's to capture the queen. Now we ask ourselves the same question again. Do we have any checks? And we do. We have 2. Let's say with the bishop here, check. The queen could take. So maybe we don't have any more checks now. Maybe that's not so good. So what about this? Well, the king could take. And do we have any more checks? No. No. Right, okay, so maybe that's also not so good. But there is a last check. Can you find the last check? Exactly, yes, exactly. Oh, I think you're going to beat all of your friends and your mom and your dad if you found this move here. The last check is queen takes rook. Okay, let's take a look at that. What can black do? Move the knight? No, no, no. Move the queen? No, no, no. Move the king? No, no. Go here? Yes, capture. Go here? Capture. Only one move is to capture the queen. And then we do the same thing. We ask ourselves, do we have another check? And we do. We have 2. So let's say, for instance, this one is the first one. Can you see that's check? And what can black do? Black has 2 options, can go here and here. Let's say they go there. Do we have any more checks? Well, not from this one. It's on a dark square. This is on a light, can never give any check. Rook is too far away. Okay. So this one, maybe it works, but maybe it doesn't work. Let's look at some other checks, because we always want to look first at the ones where we can give a check and then give a check and then give a check, because then we can look further and further and investigate further and further in the game in the easiest manner. Do we have any other checks from here other than that one? We do. And you are very right. If we move the bishop here, it is check. What can black do? Can we capture the bishop? No. There's no piece that can get there. Can we put something in between? There's no piece that can get there in between. Can the king move? What if the king moves here, for instance? That is right. Look at the rook. The rook is actually making it so that this square and this square, they don't work. So the only thing now is to go here. That is the only thing that black can do. Do we have any more checks? Can this give a check? I know you know, I know you know. Can this give a check? I know you know. Be patient. Huh? No? Can the king give a check? No, the king can never give a check. What about this rook? No. The bishop? No. I guess there is no one then. Okay. Okay. Say it. Exactly. The rook can come here. And that is check. And it's not only check. Do you know what that is? Checkmate. The king cannot go here on the dark squares. No. Cannot go here or here. Cannot capture this. And that is checkmate. And that is how Judit, with a little help from her friends that are now also your friends, that is how she won this game. And remember, you don't have to remember all of what I just told you. You can come back anytime. I will always be right here, and I will teach you the same thing again and again and again, as many times as you want. So, thank you very much for playing with me here and talking about chess with me. I love that. Thank you very much. And I hope I will see you again soon. Thanks.